Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Top Rope Commentary Podcast. We're not as high energy during this specific episode due to the contents of it.
Due to the nature of it, we kind of wanted to take the time, as like a lot of people in the IWC are currently doing, the internet wrestling community are doing, and to shine a light on a superstar that we've kind of taken a light to as we've seen grow and evolve through his career.
Yeah, oh yeah. Literally, like every aspect of his career was something that we saw. I'm still reeling from it. Like genuine, like I'm tearing up talking about it now. Because he was one of my favorites. I was one of the few I feel that loved the Lights Out match. I loved the LA Knight feud. I was excited for the Bobby Lashley feud.
I did a lot, and if you don't know who we're talking about, we are talking about Wyndham Rotunda, aka Bray Wyatt. He
WWE wrestling passed away this past week
at the end, at the young age of 36, and we want to send our best wishes out to his wife, his children, also
his family.
His whole family, his brothers, his father IRS, brother Bo Dallas, their respective significant others as well. And WWE, I believe, at this time is still doing where all of Bray Wyatt's merch that is purchased, like the proceeds go to his family. So
I'm hoping they release a like maybe some sort of a shirt that is
like a collage t-shirt,
either a collage t-shirt or just like release all of his merch.
Yeah,
give us all
like
of the merch.
Wondering if they still have a lot in the factory. I mean, yeah, even like a nice little reprint would be great.
I'd buy so quickly. I'd buy a Bray Wyatt cult.
But
shirt.
We kind of wanted to take the moment to do a retrospective over his career and kind of go back through from start to finish and kind of point out some of like the high points and a lot of the effects, because Bray Wyatt was really a creative genius in the modern age of like wrestling. You can hear from a vast range of people across the roster on just the type of mind this guy had and like what he would bring and what he would do to his promos. Just recently, I had seen an interview with Summer Rae, former WWE superstar, and while they were down in developmental before the start of the Wyatt family, he had given her a list of movies and promos to go back and watch because he thought she might, take a role in the family. He wanted her to be in the family, and just the time and dedication he had to like have a whole list of just references to go back to that could not only help but also was helping her, teaching her how to pitch herself into a better situation and move forward.
And the clip that came out of Summer and Victor, I believe, from the Ascension.
Mm-hmm.
Being a part of the Wyatt family, I was like, that would have been so cool.
Yeah,
it would have been very interesting. I feel like
the dynamics that they went.
But man, it was so just well, like every aspect of it. Even like Rowan's so different because he kind of like drunkenly almost stumbled in and just dropped. He had very Leatherface
kind of demeanor about him.
Yeah, I definitely had a lot of Manson family vibes from them as well. But we're going to start by talking about his FCW days back in, I want to say it was
2014? I want to say earlier.
Oh, it was definitely earlier than that because he was Husky Harris in FCW.
Yeah.
Or not FCW, sorry, NXT.
The Army tank with a Ferrari engine.
That is correct.
I remember the entire New Nexus. They all had phrases that they would try to get him to get over. And I think that was his.
Yeah. Yes, it was. He debuted in 2009 in Florida Championship Wrestling.
So in MCW.
Yes. I'm not super familiar with a lot of his FCW time. It's really the only time frame of his that I'm not super familiar with. But we have a little list on our side here. Yeah. It specifies he competed under the name Alex Rotundo, which feels a little strange to me that they didn't. Wyndham Rotunda, I feel like would have worked because you get two different legacies in there. But the other note here is that he was in a
He was in the tag team with his brother Bo.
And I believe they won the tag team championship.
Yeah, they were FCW champions.
Yes. So, like I said, we weren't super familiar
with a lot
era.
With a lot of his SCW time, but once he really the Husky Harris character, once it came to the new Nexus and the CM Punk era, it was out of
season 2 of NXT.
Yeah, season 2 of NXT. He was kind of a character that was there kind of more as like the muscle. He never really got as much of like the talking time as a lot of like other people like the new Nexus, because once the new Nexus came around, it was really much CM Punk focused. Because you had the new Nexus versus like the core, which the core was like the original Nexus.
It was Wade Barrett.
Plus like a few more new people. Justin Gabriel, Heath Slater.
Yeah. Fun fact, Husky Harris's pro was Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. Which is
just a neat little thing.
Both second generation superstars in their own.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. But it's such a, I don't know, I liked Husky Harris.
I feel like Husky Harris was the character that was just kind of like,
but it wasn't
getting started. Yeah, it was just kind of a powerhouse, and he even referred to that the character didn't really line up with who he was as a person and kind of his personality, which I think we really got to see that shell start to crack and break open once he went back to no longer FCW but NXT, and he got to reform himself into the cult leader, like the cult leader that is Bray Wyatt, kind of what we were talking about with Victor.
Enough, we say this, but looking at it, Bray Wyatt started in FCW.
Oh, Bray Wyatt. Oh,
he says he was
there at the change.
FCW, and that was in April of 2012. Bray Wyatt, as Bray Wyatt, came into NXT in July of 2012, so it was like right at the end.
Right at the transition.
But it was very, very neat to see just this version of Bray, especially at the beginning, where we even got like Harper promos during this initial phase of Bray Wyatt, and it was such a neat. I just saw this fun fact for our next one, which I did not know. But it was such that early rendition of Bray ended up almost feeling different from what we got on the main roster, but it was so good. I loved Wyatt Family Bray Wyatt. Like
Wyatt Family Bray Wyatt was a new take on something we hadn't seen in a while. When WWE at a time was their characters were either kind of like one-dimensionally like heel
I'm
or
a really good wrestler.
Yeah, or like when it came to like the face and like the heel dynamic. What you saw in Bray Wyatt was a character who knew he was more and had motivations. Bray Wyatt throughout his time never did anything without a motivation to do it. Bray Wyatt always told you why he was going after his opponent, what he thought. Like he was always. That's why he kind of floated above, kind of more than just kind of like heel and face. The way he talked and his cadence in that preacher-esque voice, you could tell like it gave across like, oh, this guy really believes everything he's saying. Like,
yeah.
Like this, like it was like you said, very like Manson family. Like, then also taking from I think Waylon Mercy was another person he took a lot of.
Yes, he did.
Took a lot of inspiration from, but Bray Wyatt, when you saw him on screen, he didn't look like another wrestler. He really felt like a horror movie character put into a wrestling world.
Yeah, it was. God, it was just so different, but at the same time, it felt like almost like a throwback in a lot of ways, where it was he was very character.
I feel like he was very like methodical, but then I even feel like the Bray Wyatt character is one of those characters that I feel like you could even take back to the 90s or even the 80s, and I feel like it would still have like it would still work and it would still have legs.
I do wonder about that in the 80s because it's like, was that too soon?
No, because I think they were
stuff.
No, because I think they were still doing like the WC. It was sort of like WCW.
That's fair. But yeah, it was very. It's just so good. The promos.
The promos in like the rocking chair, and it was really Bray's like cadence and really like the way he talked that really kind of gravitated you to everything that he was saying.
Yeah, it was pretty neat to see. ChatGPT actually has this wrong. It says upon his main roster debut, he introduced the Wyatt family.
Yeah.
That's incorrect. He had the Wyatt family in NXT because the Wyatt family held the NXT Tag Team Championships for a long time, I believe.
Yeah, they were the second.
Luke Harper's the only person to ever kick out of the Black Arrow.
Were they the second?
I believe so. I think the first was Graves and Neville, which technically it was Oliver Gray and Neville, but Oliver Gray either got injured or released, and then Graves took over.
Which is such an odd pairing in its own.
But man, it mentioned, but it gets into the Wyatt family, which was so crazy to see because we got. We'll talk about the initial Wyatt family because then they split for a little bit and then they got back together. But we'll talk about like the initial run of them from like everything from the debut up until like Bryan Danielson they feuded with.
Bryan. Like going back,
the best in the beard, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk.
I was gonna say even with that, like if you go back and look at the catalog of people that Bray Wyatt has like feuded against, it's a very high like esteemed catalog because they also had the Swamp match with the New Day. And then he also feuded against John Cena. Like, and he also like
yes, he feuded with Cena. He feuded with the Undertaker.
He feuded with Randy.
So many times.
Yeah, so it's just
many Randy Orton feuds.
Like Balor, like Bray's like. I guess his rogue gallery of of enemies.
He is the Flash.
Is very high caliber for people that don't like to go back and look at it and be like, wow, he really did have like matches with all these people. And then Kane, Kane could still move.
Yeah, that was his first match. We learned.
Yeah, we learned that was his first match.
His first match in WWE's main roster was against Kane. And that's crazy to me.
Especially with Kane being like the veteran that he is and be able to move in there with a guy like that, which Bray was always very like highly athletic. Like he often did like a lot of things like the spider crawl in itself, like the back bend and to be able to do that.
That's so creepy. Every second.
And then also the Sister Abigail getting such like a move that would essentially look like a flatliner, but just the twisting like motion, like Bray would hit it with such like viciousness and people would sell it like $1 million.
Oh yeah.
But Bray's like methodicalness as he would like move around the ring and like what he would say as he would like talk to people, and then even transcending into the Firefly Funhouse Bray when he would be different, when he would wear like the sweater and he would be kind of more this like
Mr.
evil
Rogers.
Evil Mr. Rogers-esque.
I loved it. You mentioned that flatliner, that Uranagi he did.
Yeah, one of the best Uranagis. But then also, Ray did a little nod to it in his match against Waller on SmackDown. But the clothesline to like the senton, like he's he used to get a lot of air on those sentons. And
I mean, we're talking about some of his greatest feuds. Roman Reigns.
Yeah, Roman Reigns, like when Roman was like first starting to try to get over, and then also Bray's like. I'm glad he can go down as a WWE champion, especially winning it in an Elimination Chamber. Like he can multi-time world champion, multi-time Universal champion, and a tag team champion.
He's a one-time WWE and two-time Universal. I know he won the tag titles with Orton, and he won the tag titles with
Matt Hardy.
That was it, Matt Hardy. Going back to their initial run, I remember the Shield match specifically is the one that sticks out, that Elimination Chamber. Because I remember thinking to myself, they should have saved this for Mania. And then he faced John Cena, which is like, it was a great feud. And wrong guy won at Mania, but it was a great feud. But man, that Shield match at Mania would have been insane. Because Shield really didn't get a good match at Mania that year. They faced the Road Warriors.
Road Family.
No.
Was it Road Scholars?
No. It was Road Dogg Jesse James, the Badass Billy Gunn, and Corporate Kane. And they hit him with a triple power bomb. But I mean, Bray had a much more high profile match on that show for sure, because he had the feud with Cena, which we thought would have been a great way to turn Cena heel. By the way, was him joining the Wyatt family properly. But man,
the element, the theatrics that Bray brought to, like you said, like the steel cage match that he had with Cena, where the kid just shows up out of nowhere wearing the sheep's mask, and like they're surrounding the ring, thinking he's got the whole world like in his hands, and
so
also like the Fiend, where like you have like the screens are starting to black out, and then everything starts to like jaggedly cut, and the pop you would hear, or like the reaction from the crowd that you would hear as you would hear the first little ear, like the first little static, and then the first black screen would cut out, or like the first like half of the like lights would like start to like cut out, and as they started to do more and more, like you would hear the crowd get more and more excited.
Oh man, the whole, like, just hearing the crowd sing he's got the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god,
It was, yeah.
But man, it like, it's crazy to think back. So
New face of fear.
it says September 29th, 2014 is whenever the Wyatt family broke up, if you will, which doesn't feel correct. It's got to be 2015 because 2014 was when Punk left. No, never mind. It would be post Mania in September. So this led to him facing The Undertaker at WrestleMania. It led to Harper versus Rowan in the Authority SummerSlam angle, but it led to Harper getting the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
But specifically, the one I remember was the Ambrose match, or like the Ambrose like return, where it was like a hologram of Bray in the lantern. It was neat, but like they had a fun feud. Which, man, it's crazy. It says he was trying to get Ambrose to join him.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, because that was like the long period of time where Ambrose did not win a feud for like over a year. Yeah, wow.
Oh, and he also beat Ryback at Payback.
He wrestled Ryback? Oh yeah, that was post Mania. I'm surprised that was. Yeah, that's like, I feel mind blown by that. But it did lead to the whole Bray Wyatt basically carried the entire Undertaker feud on his own. This is whenever he started calling himself the new face of fear. But I remember specifically Taker didn't show up until Mania. But like the whole like gimmick of it was that Bray stole Taker's powers. It was so weird until like randomly the Undertaker summoned the lightning while he wasn't there to hit Bray's lantern while it was sitting on the stage.
Yeah, and that was kind of his signal that, look, I accept.
Yeah, but then we move on to it says the return of the Wyatt family, which is Money in the Bank 2015, potentially 2016. It says Wyatt interfered in the Money in the Bank match and attacked Roman Reigns, which it then led to, of course, the Roman Reigns feud, which then led to Reigns and Ambrose versus Harper. Was it Harper? Yeah, it would have been Harper and Bray.
Yeah, because Roman was out injured, and then
it then led to the Braun Strowman.
Yeah, the Black Sheep of the family being added in, and then that Night of Champions, Reigns and Ambrose, Jericho
defeated.
Lost to the Wyatt family with a new addition of Strowman. Like Strowman now became like their heater, like they're basically like their big bad. And if you look at Strowman then and
wasn't
now,
in there very long. It's kind of crazy to think that, like, he was in there till like maybe post Mania, and then he was gone. But it does say at Hell in a Cell, Reigns and Wyatt had their match, which Reigns would lose. But I remember that match; it was insane. I remember like they set up the table, and I believe Bray did the senton to him.
I think I remember the tag team match they had before, where it's the infamous picture of Wyatt like pointing
the finger gun. That was a classic moment right there. Man, that's a really good. Because it was so weird to see Roman and Bray teaming, because all they've ever done is feud. Wow, we got Wyatt and Harper against the Brothers of Destruction at one point. I forgot about that match. That was a Survivor Series. Oh yeah, it was like the 20th anniversary or something like that of Taker.
Yeah, and the Brothers of Destruction. Yeah,
that was a good one. We go to TLC of 2015, I believe, maybe 2016.
No, 2015.
Yeah, that's the only one that makes sense. But it was the Wyatt family versus Team ECW, and I actually remember. I'm gonna click on it to see if it says exactly who it is. But I remember Tommy Dreamer showing up, and it was so fun. Is it not? Oh, that's an Impact. So the Dudley Boys, who had been feuding with the Wyatt family, brought back Tommy Dreamer on Raw, establishing a new incarnation of the ECW.
Oh, Rhino.
And then Rhino would return. I remember Tommy Dreamer's return very specifically because he did not enter to his classic theme song.
It was a tables. It was an elimination tables match. It
was actually really fun. Oh my god.
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch.
It's such a weird thing for them to include.
Whoa.
Just randomly. We're gonna touch on that. That doesn't have anything to do with it. But Wikipedia is wild, guys. They attacked the League of Nations.
Yeah, I think that was after the New Day match, because I think that was that Mania that The Rock hosted.
Yeah, Mania 32 is when we got the Wyatt family confronting The Rock, and then it led to Eric Rowan and The Rock in the fastest WrestleMania match of all time.
Yeah, and The Rock being prepared for it, it was hilarious.
Well, because I think the initial plan that was teased was that we were supposed to get Brock versus Wyatt, but Wyatt was actually injured at this time.
Yeah, I think it was a calf injury. Yeah, he suffered a right calf.
Yeah, so we never got
the European tour.
Let's see. Oh, and then when they returned in June of 2016, they started a feud with the New Day.
Yeah, the WWE Tag Champions at the time. And this is early New Day.
And they were actually heels.
Yeah, this is heel New Day.
But that led to the
Wyatt
compound match, which I loved it.
With Woods being terrified the entire time. I love it.
He was the JC Jane of that match.
Pretty much. He honestly was.
But it was such a good... God, it was such a weird time because that was around the time of Final Deletion.
But also Wyatt having some of the more unique matches, like you said, the Firefly Funhouse, the House of Horrors match. I mean, the compound match,
the swamp match with Braun.
With Braun, the swamp match.
That was a crazy time. But this all leads to 2016.
Yeah.
Technically 2017 is when he won it, but it led to Randy Orton joining the Wyatt family, where they went and they won the tag team championships.
Yeah, where Luke Harper, aka Brody Lee, was always like, "No, I think he's gonna turn on you." Randy, I love how that's every Randy Orton feud though. Everybody's like, "No, he's gonna turn on you."
Yeah, don't trust that guy.
You're like, don't trust that guy. This is coming from everybody that doesn't trust everybody else. Don't trust that guy.
Honestly, it's a fair point. Like, I wouldn't trust Bray, or I wouldn't trust Randy Orton. Like, I've seen what he's done. I remember him kicking RVD in the head at Judgment Day, like 2008.
Oh yeah,
I don't forgive him.
I don't forgive.
But this led to, obviously, they won the tag belts. Ended up Orton would win the Royal Rumble, which felt weird. I don't know. Maybe it's
at that time, 20.
But Bray Wyatt in Elimination Chamber 2017 would go on to win the WWE Championship from AJ Styles.
In an Elimination Chamber.
Yep. No, he won it from Cena, technically. Styles lost to Cena at Rumble. Cena lost it to Bray at Elimination Chamber in the Elimination Chamber by pinning Styles last. That's why I thought Styles. So good.
And then I think that led to him and Randy at Mania.
Yes, so they had the Mania match, which is notoriously bad. It's a notoriously bad match. They did like the projection of the maggots on the thing.
It had the weird fit.
Yeah, it wasn't great. They really, in my opinion, fucked up the the flow there, because Harper should have been added to that match. It just made sense with the story. Orton ultimately won. It then led to their House of Horrors match.
Yeah,
which I maintain was a really fun match. I actually really
the House of
enjoyed it.
Horrors is far better than the WrestleMania one.
Oh yeah,
I think they should have did the House of Horrors instead of do the WrestleMania.
I agree. I fully agree. It was so fun. Imagine the House of Horrors match at WrestleMania, because it ended in the ring.
Yeah,
This then leads to they ended up splitting, but him being Randy Orton destroyed the Wyatt family. He had no family anymore, and he went to Monday Night Raw while Orton stayed on SmackDown. And
joined up with the broken one himself.
Yes, we got the deleters of the worlds around this time. That was really good, Matt Hardy. We got the deleters of worlds at this time.
Great balls of fire. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's I think it was a very well made, it was a very well put together team. It was a lot of fun. They won the tag belts and then they lost them to Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel at their first pay-per-view title defense.
Yeah, so Wyatt beat Seth like twice, back to back then too. Apparently beat him at Great Balls of Fire and then on the following Raw.
I know you're able to see it, but I'm not seeing it. I know he feuded with Balor. Oh, yeah. Wow. I did not know that. But I know he started feuding with Balor, and it led to, we got the Demon Balor, but then we were
supposed to get the Sister Abigail-ish version.
Sister Abigail,
Bray.
which was supposed to be Bray and drag, basically, is what it sounds like, which I feel like would have been probably seen as very offensive.
I think the face paint, I don't think it's supposed to be drag. I think it's supposed to be another era of face paint. Because we're supposed to get Pumpkin Balor.
We were supposed to get Pumpkin Balor, but Bray ended up getting sick. So if I can find the actual video, it showed it kind of looked like.
I gotta be honest.
I know, guys, we're giving riveting content here. It started as this Bray.
Yeah, because I think it just showed the veil. I don't think it ever showed him wearing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't show too much, but it is a bit weird to have Bray Wyatt, as Sister Abigail. Yeah, we don't see too much. It is creepy as shit, though. I'll say that.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at his shoulders to see anything of it. It's literally just the
It's
veil.
like black cloak.
Yeah.
All right, I didn't want the Raw theme playing, but this led to Bray got sick. It led to AJ Styles versus
Finn
Balor
to replace it. I think that at that pay-per-view.
But he ended up returning and losing to Jason Jordan in his first match back. We then started feuding with Matt Hardy. We led to the Ultimate Deletion. Was that their match?
Yeah, no, Ultimate Deletion was.
It was Ultimate Deletion. Yeah, Ultimate Deletion. Wyatt was pushed into the lake of reincarnation. I think it would have been really funny if he would have showed up as Husky Harris after that. But instead, he came back as a good Bray Wyatt and interfered in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, helping Matt Hardy win, which feels crazy in hindsight.
And in hindsight now, it's kind of funny that they beat at the Greatest Royal. They did beat the Bar.
They beat the Bar and then lost to the B team in their first defense.
But that's kind of crazy. He lost to his brother.
Yeah, which fair enough. Hey,
if I'm gonna give the title to anybody, I guess it'd be my brother.
The reason WWE disbanded the team was because they grew tired of them both pitching several ideas for their characters.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because if you have the combination of Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt,
I would have.
You talk about segments after segments and promos after promos, yeah.
But in April of 2019, Bray had been off TV for a little while.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot of us were kind of speculating maybe he was going to get released because it seemed like at that time, it seemed like Vince didn't really like the guy.
It
from
seemed
a
like there was
perspective.
It seemed like there was kind of a
disconnect between the
after the Matt Hardy and like the Deleters of Worlds. It seemed like there was kind of a gap in like don't know what to do with him, because not too long after that, Matt Hardy wound up like leaving and getting released.
Because he didn't get released till 2020. It was post Fiend coming back, because he got released after getting punted in the head, and then he went to AEW, but he didn't go to AEW until 2020. However, we started getting these vignettes, these promos, but we didn't know what it was. It was weird. We saw I remember the box.
Mm-hmm.
We saw
the toy chest.
Yeah. The buzzard, the witch, toys. And then it says later that month, Wyatt began to appear in pre-recorded segments as the host of a children's program known as the Firefly Funhouse, and I fucking loved every single moment of the Firefly Funhouse. So good. But I feel like he did it for a couple of months, where he was starting to build to the Fiend, which is arguably, not even arguably, it's Bray's most successful gimmick by far.
Because the Fiend was something like, kind of in note of what I said earlier, like a horror movie villain brought into the wrestling world.
Yes.
Like the Fiend was something, it couldn't really directly be compared to the Undertaker, because it was something more possessive and like demonic than the Undertaker.
Yeah, it's fully creepy.
Since like the 90s, and just the presentation of it and the allure of what the Firefly Funhouse was, that once you stepped into the Firefly Funhouse, you were in Bray's world. Like you were in his world that you didn't, like, nobody really knew how to combat besides like, and you had, I like the fact that we also had inklings of people going to the Firefly Funhouse. Like Adam Pearce walked into the Firefly Funhouse and changed into Postman Pierce.
Yep.
And then but also
Rollins burned it down at one point.
Yeah, Rollins like basically breaking, but then also being confronted by Bray in his own, like, the face to face, and all the fact that each of the puppets in its own self meant a piece to Wyatt himself and were pieces of him. Like Mercy the Buzzard was a nod to his former cult leader.
Incorrect. And like it was a nod to Waylon Mercy, who he...
I was going to say, before you cut me off, I was about to say Waylon Mercy. I was like... No, wrong. I was like... And then...
My apologies.
Huskus the Pig was a reference to Husky Harris. Yep. Abby the Witch, Sister Abigail. And then Ramblin' Rabbit was a nod, and that people used to say that he would ramble in his promos a lot, and he would just kind of like mindlessly talk. So Ramblin', like, each of these characters meant to Bray. And then we also had the little devil Vince McMahon that would pop in from time to time.
Good shit. Such good shit. Oh my god! Because it's during the Firefly Funhouse match that he said that. And it was a reference to John Moxley, actually, which was crazy, because like Mox was gone; he was in AEW at this point. But he did the like tell-all interview with Jericho, where he fucking went off. He hated a lot of his time in WWE. Towards the end. But it was stuff like Vince having him do the getting a shot in the ass and saying it's such good shit. But Firefly Funhouse was so unique.
Like, Wyatt took time and the amount of detail that he put into everything that he did. And going back to I think around like 2015, like on like Twitter, he posted that he had done a series of promos, and there was a line from each promo that basically made a whole nother promo that was an Easter egg about the opponent that he was going to be facing.
Yes.
And then he went back and posted it all, like each like line from it, but it was just like simple stuff like that he would do. And then the fact that the big thing
he's the Fiend like 4 years before doing it in a random WWE story time video.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Like Bray Wyatt's mind, and like that's why like a creative genius as he was. Also, the Fiend was such a polarizing character that anybody that interacted with the Fiend afterwards, they weren't the same. Afterwards, they were all like they turned like they were different. I think no, did Orton go into? What did Orton do after that? I thought because no, after that it's pandemic. No, Orton.
It was at the end of the pandemic. But I don't think Orton did anything after that. But
the mask too, the custom mask made by the horror icon Tony Savini.
I believe so. I can never say his name.
But he's known for making a lot of like mask and a lot of horror movie props.
He is an
so
icon.
just that mask in itself and how horrifying like it looked.
Mask. He made the belt too.
Yeah, he made the belt. The like
so creepy.
Also, the details like on Wyatt's gloves. One of them said pain and one of them said play. Hurt and heal. Alexa said play and pain. His said hurt and heal. And how like there would be times where he would just put one of them to his ear, like one of them up to like his ear, like he was like listening. Like he could like that hand was determining everything that he was about to do. And all these little things that he would just kind of like sprinkle through his character and trope like made him like such a well-rounded character, and you just instantly you couldn't not watch him.
I will say it's kind of hard to talk about this era without mentioning a couple of things. One being the very controversial Hell in a Cell finish.
Yeah, the red light Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, the red light with the red cage. But that ended in a referee stoppage, which was crazy.
Yeah, because no other match has really ever ended like...
No, not a Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the entire point of it. Yeah, it was such a weird one. But it's so... He did end up going on to win the Universal title in Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel after he was drafted to SmackDown.
Yeah, so that's when it became the Blue Universal Championship.
It was, because after that, he introduced two belts. One is the Blue Universal, and then the other is the Fiend belt, which was literally just the mask of the Fiend.
And it had, on the side, it had the Let Me In, and it had a lot of the belt itself even had clawed writing and kind of different scratched writing.
It's such a weird one to look up. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up because we're only on video right now because I cannot afford an RSS feed because that shit's expensive. So while I try to get it pulled up, it only wants to let me save stuff as a WebP file. This is what it is.
Yeah,
that's like I almost want to say like it's pretty neat. Like it's unique.
Like the face itself, like. I was gonna say try to find like right there, like
the hurt,
like on like the hurt and like the heel, like on the other side, like it always had the stuff like written in.
So the thing I think is weird.
Yeah. When you try to orient yourself which way, like
almost like it almost looks like flesh being pulled. It looks so crazy to me.
It is, and I remember them releasing it and like him debuting it, and it was just like it was such like a sick title because I think he was hand making these too. I think some of them were handmade.
Yeah, I believe so because there was only a limited amount.
There were a limited amount of masks too that were handmade.
Yes, there were. Yeah, those were also super expensive though because they were made by the same guy. Man, it is kind of crazy to talk about the Fiend. Because we got stuff like the Firefly Funhouse match, the first one. Let's talk about the first one first, and we'll get into the Orton one. But the first one, the John Cena one, was so unique, so different.
Yeah, the fact that it was such like because especially I think pandemic really helped because it was able to
go cinematic.
Yeah, cinematic and really kind of set the way for the Undertaker match to happen. Like do
you mean the Boneyard one? That was first. That was night one.
I thought Boneyard was night 2.
No, Boneyard main event in night 1, and Funhouse was night 2, I believe. Because AJ Styles technically main event of WrestleMania, and then the main event of night 2 was Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar. It was actually technically the Big Show versus the Big Show versus Drew McIntyre, because he came out after the show ended and challenged Drew McIntyre for the Universal Championship. It's a crazy time. It's a crazy time out here, guys.
It very much is.
But it was so cool to see Bray, and I wish we could have gotten this more, but Bray slowly break down the psyche of John Cena and go into every aspect of the character. It was just it's great. But we then had him,
and it was 13 minutes. That match was 13 minutes.
That's it? Wow.
13 minutes.
But we then had he had a feud with Bryan Danielson. He had a feud with The Miz. He lost the title to Goldberg.
And then also the him and Alexa Bliss, like the pairing up.
Yes.
And the mental, like changing her into like this kind of darker persona that she carried around and actually had some fun with for like the early, like going on.
Yeah. It was, God, Alexa Bliss played that role to perfection.
Yeah.
And even when he came back, it was pretty clear that they were going back into that.
Yeah, like they were laying the groundwork. She was starting to do like more like heelish things, and
we kept seeing the flashes of the Firefly.
Yeah, the static of the TV whenever like she would be taking like an interview.
Yeah, it was always interesting because like it would flash real quick and then she'd series and attack Bianca. And
kind of just like sink into like a trance.
Yep. And then right after that Firefly Funhouse, we got Wyatt versus Strowman, which was actually really neat because it ended up giving us the horror
horror show Extreme Rules.
Oh, that was something. It gave us the Wyatt Swamp Fight, which was actually a really fun match. And I remember it ended with, I don't know if you remember this, but with the Fiend's like eyes just coming above the swamp water.
Yeah, after he throws Bray in.
Yeah, it was great.
It's so many, and that's the thing about Bray. Like when Bray got into a feud, he would psychoanalyze and basically break apart somebody's whole backstory, and he would like break them down as like a character. And like with Strowman, it was the whole like I brought you in, like I made you. There would be no monster if there wasn't me.
It is kind of crazy to think he attacked Alexa Bliss. Like,
oh, I think did he like drag her down like or something like that?
I don't know if that was gonna work. It did not work. No. No. He like mandible clawed her. It was after because she had teamed with Nikki Cross. I just realized her shirt looks like it has like spikes on it, and Cross just pushed her. I was like, that's gotta hurt.
Oh yeah, with the studs.
Because it started doing the like real loud screaming that signified the Fiend.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, Bliss, pretty damn good actress. Her character work was great.
Honestly, I'm surprised she hasn't been in more sitcom stuff.
Yeah, I'm surprised she hasn't gone more mainstream. I know her husband's like a musician, but we are. I wish I could pull it up on the video, but we are watching the clip of Bray as the Fiend attacking Bliss.
And now, like looking at this, I remember. You remember watching this?
It was
pandemic. It was pandemic. All we could do was watch.
Yeah. I didn't get to stay home. I was stuck working.
And then it's with the Hurt glove too. I think that's also
yeah, he specified. It's just her subtle. She's doing the like terrified reaction so well. He's moving so slow. God, it's genuinely terrifying.
Like I said, Bray Wyatt was a horror movie character brought to wrestling. And then also, like, while he would, like, be doing, like, he would basically be, like, laughing or, like, screaming.
Yeah. Man, that was crazy. Remember?
And then they also ended it, like, episodes of The Soprano whenever he was there. It's just straight to black. It's like...
Yes. Oh, man. This led to Bliss ultimately joining The Fiend, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, and we got the Dark Alexa with the doll.
Yes. Oh my god, the fucking doll. Lily.
Yeah.
Which I wonder if they'll ever return to, but I don't think you could do it as well without Bray. Like, you don't have his creative...
If anything, it'll be nods or references to, like, you know, like...
Maybe she'll see the doll sometimes, but it won't, like...
Or just like, or just referencing it, like, you know, I've like this isn't my first time that I've had run-ins with supernatural powers or supernatural like entities.
I do wonder if they'll ever do another supernatural character.
I can see it. It's like done
weird.
done
We have a
right.
superhero in NXT, so Axiom. He's a math-based superhero, and you will accept him.
It's not gravity. It's not,
That's fine. He remembers Neville. But God damn it! Did the Fiend feud with Kevin Owens?
Yep.
Yeah, he had a short feud with Owens. And then reignited his feud with Randy Orton.
Yeah, after we went back to Raw.
In a Firefly Inferno match.
Yeah, that's where we got the Burn Fiend from.
Yes, because he lit him on fire, which was crazy, by the way. But then he returned at Fastlane, and that was when we got the charred.
Yeah, the charred Fiend. Before we got before during his Mania entrance, they had him walk through, and it's basically like he walked through and got healed.
Charred Fiend looks insane. Like, honestly, this is... Look at this.
Yeah, Charred Fiend was...
That is something. Let's just keep that on for the rest of the podcast.
And they have the toy, too. I was going to say...
They have a Charred Fiend toy?
Yeah, it was a toy.
Huh. I don't hate it. Like, I don't hate it at all. I do like the idea of him posing for a picture for it, though.
Yeah. And, like, how everything's kind of, like, melted. And, like,
it's such a cool...
And then he also wore different contacts with it.
I wish that they would have kept the... like, that looks fucking neat. It must have sucked to wrestle in.
Yeah, it just looks heavy.
But it looks insane. So the toy doesn't look bad. I'll say that. Oh, he was on fire and put a mandible claw on Orton. That's crazy. Wow. So this... Oh, yeah, because it was Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton, which felt insane. But then we got Bray versus... or Alexa basically turning on Bray. And then she showed up in the Funhouse and said she no longer needed him. But then that was... He was released.
Yeah, until...
I feel like a lot of us missed Bray during this time.
Yeah, we were waiting, and I think during this time he was also talking with a lot of people. Like he
talking to AEW and Impact.
Head creative writer for I believe SmackDown now, or long term is Rob Fee.
Yeah,
they were talking about possibly doing like a movie.
Yes, there were a lot of talks that he was
switching maybe over to like acting. He was doing horror movies.
But in 2022, September, WWE started playing, and it was such a...
It was close to my birthday too. Yeah,
it was such a weird thing because
QR codes.
This
started
wasn't a thing that was super obvious, if that makes sense.
It was
really sorry, by the way, our first podcast episode, I'm pretty sure, was Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I think it was Bray Wyatt. I think because we were talking about it.
What is the
What coming back? It was the new
Wyatt
family.
six.
Yeah,
Yep.
because during this, it was a return or a re-debut, unlike any other. Like so much time and so much detail.
Yes.
Was took into it. Like the fact that they bought a YouTube channel, took every video off of the YouTube channel.
White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane.
And just let that, and then also the red circles being everywhere, and just how much the internet was so for it, and like was so entranced by it.
Just the idea of like that he knows the WWE universe so well that he knew something as simple as just playing the acapella version at live events and during commercial breaks. Not even like because people are gonna start like tweeting out and people are gonna start messaging you and like, yo, they're playing like creepy as shit.
Like they're playing like, why are they playing Jefferson Starship's White Rabbit at?
Yeah,
and then somebody from Twitter is gonna say, oh, but
they were saying people kept being like, oh, it's just some guy at the arena likes the song.
But then also in backstage segments, you're starting to see puppets pop up behind people. You're starting to see rambling.
Well, they started the QR code first.
Yeah, the QR code. So Byron Saxton would be doing an interview backstage, and he would just happen to turn his mic at the end of it, and there would be a QR code there. Or somebody would close a door, and there just happened to be a QR code on the door, or there would be a QR code that would pop up for like a split second in like the corner. And people just got so entrenched by these because they would look at them. And then it would be videos of what we soon found out was Uncle Howdy, but a bunch of mashup videos of like who ruined the world or who killed the world, like you did, and a bunch of old like Bray Wyatt like culty like kind of like references.
Nothing that was like direct.
Nothing that because remember people thought it was Karrion Kross at first. Like some
people thought Rhea Ripley because one of the things had referenced or almost referenced the Judgment Day. Because it Riptide, something about Demon, like it was stuff that referenced.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And as soon as it found out to be Bray, the pop that this man would get going into
Extreme Rules return.
I shared one to my social media, like the other, like in wake of hearing him like pass, and just his interest and just being able to like whip my head like around the stadium and just to see like nothing but fireflies like everywhere and the lantern and just Bray's cadence and what he was talking to and just what he was beginning to build back again, where we were really looking, it looks like we were going to get a Bray Wyatt that was having a lot of inner turmoil or inner feuds like with himself.
Ignore that 2K in the background. Oh yeah, it was such a cool return, and then it led to just what felt like the craziest. That can't be it. Is that LA Knight?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess he returned to the Firefly Funhouse, which felt very strange because we all thought he was kind of done with that, but it led to him eventually feuding with LA Knight. And we got to see the Uncle Howdy.
Yeah, the physical manifestation of
which was his
Uncle
brother.
Howdy. Yeah, which everybody had kind of like we're just like, oh, that's got to be Bo Dallas. Well, yeah, it's got to be Bo. Everybody was Bo leaving that Uncle Howdy was Bo.
I do wonder what they're gonna do with Bo, though.
I could see them
just bring him back as Bo Dallas or as Bo Rotunda would be fine.
Yeah, I think bringing him back at Bo Rotunda would be good. Like I said, if Cody's gonna do another legacy thing, I think it'd be cool to see him.
Bo was a really good wrestler too. But ultimately this led to a lot of feud, like a decent length feud with LA Knight. Yeah. Ultimately they had the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match, I believe. Yeah. It was actually
where he had the sickest face paint. Like the fact that he walks out to the ring and you don't see that you just see like the black like smudges, which you're just like, all right, cool. He's going for a darker, grungier look, and then they flip to the black lights and his whole face and arms illuminate up. Cool. Like, and it was
let me see if I can find that.
It was perfect.
pitch black match. Seeing the video of it, it's
yeah, him with like
shit.
And the 6 on like the Wyatt 6, the 6 on the side of his head.
Yes. Oh, we're just gonna keep that there. That's so cool. Screen's slowly just gonna become covered with Bray Wyatt, and I'm okay with that.
Like Bray, like
it's so creepy.
The contacts, like the grill and everything too, like the fangs, like Bray. It was something that he always finds a way to take it to the next level. He always finds a way to.
Fully agree. Fully agree. On top of that, I mean, LA Knight got insanely over.
Yeah, people were talking about how LA Knight was like that feud did a lot for him.
Absolutely. And then we started teasing the feud with Bobby Lashley. We got a quick Muscle Man dance promo.
Yeah, the Muscle Man dance promo, which everybody should do the Muscle Man dance. I kind of wish I would have got to see Big E do the Muscle Man dance.
Oh my God, that would have been great. But then Bray disappeared. A lot of people
yeah, because the way
speculated, and very poorly speculated. They did the same shit with Brody though. They speculated, like claiming that it was attitude problems, claiming that it was him not wanting to work.
Essentially floating around a bunch of he said, she said, and the way he kind of just kind of like slowly like faded out. It kind of was like weird because everybody was assuming like, oh, this was gonna be like his Mania feud, and this was what was gonna carry it to Mania. And a lot of people were, especially with Cody Rhodes being back, like Bray Wyatt being one of those people that can tap into somebody's history. The point where a lot of people were at in their careers, it opened up like it has seemingly opened up a lot of doors to be able to explore a lot of things.
Yes,
and it kind of sucks that it seems like it was kind of cut. Everything was kind of cut at the legs.
Sorry. Cement that. Yeah, and then August 24th, we were given the news that Bray Wyatt passed away. Crazy enough, right after his dad had done an interview saying that he was returning soon, which is
his dad Iris Mike Rotunda.
But then like we also found out reportedly he was hospitalized like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, there were a lot of reports. Like WWE had kind of kept a lot of like everything concerning Bray Wyatt very close to the chest. So now that a lot of reports are starting to come out, it's starting to kind of pencil in a lot of timelines, which are kind of up in the air, but also it just kind of brings you back to the mindset of that, I mean, just Terry Funk and then Bray Wyatt, it kind of, you want to at least be able to give your wrestlers their flowers while they're here.
Oh, yeah.
And that's essentially what this kind of retrospective is and kind of has been. Like, we were both very much avid Wyatt lovers while he was here.
We just brought him into
we just like brought him into Universe with the Rebel and the Wyatt. Like, he just got added back into the game, and we were like very excited to do stuff like to put him in more storylines.
I think we could say this since he will not be in the rest of the season. The plan was that I was doing was to build a Wyatt family, to build a Wyatt cult, and it was going to lead to the Bullet Club versus the Wyatt family in War Games, and ultimately Wyatt versus Jay White at WrestleMania. That was like where that was building. But that obviously could not happen, because it just feels too fresh. We'll definitely add him in the game next season. We definitely plan on. I mean, if we might do some shorts of it, but you might catch him on the Legend show because we did decide it. Because we do very much consider him a first ballot Hall of Famer. Oh, I mean, absolutely, I can see him.
Like going again back over his accomplishments, like. Bray he's former WWE champion, former WWE Universal champion, one-time WWE Raw champion, one-time WWE SmackDown champion, and won also a Slammy for Male Wrestler of the Year. So
As
I
he
mean,
should.
aside from the tag titles, like he's always been a top champion.
Actually, what the fuck did he do in 2019?
2019, I think that was the Cena. I think that was like all the Cena.
That's the start of the feud, or the start of the Fiend, but like, did we get much of the Fiend in 2019? Yo, we did, because SummerSlam, he faced Bray. Or he faced Bray. He faced Finn Balor.
Yeah, he wow.
He
Against
beat Kofi, which had
Brock
been
and Seth
Kofi
Rollins.
Mania.
Yeah, Kofi, Brock and Seth Rollins.
Wow.
Kofi would have been a 2-time Slammy. It would have been such an Owen Hart moment.
Kofi was a 2-time look down.
Oh yeah.
But it's not. It wasn't Slammy to this point.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think the legacy that Bray Wyatt will be leaving behind here is just one of creativity, one of so hard to like describe.
One of creativity, one of like generosity, and one of always being able to, no matter how much people think they can know your character or know something about you, staying true to what you believe and staying true to your mindset on how to accomplish it and do it. Because any story that we've heard from anybody talking about Bray Wyatt has been nothing about how much of a generous, kind, joyous, and just all around great and humble human being that he was. And the fact that he was able to express a lot of his like creative ideas, and he's in the sense of wrestling has been able to ascend the mountaintop and be a top champion in one of the biggest promotions in the world, I think should not be looked down on, should not be, nobody should fan any flames on that. He will go down as one of the greats and as one of the greatest minds.
Oh, absolutely. It'll be very interesting to see if anybody is really able to bring that level of creativity like in the future.
If anything, he is very much in like the inspiration catalyst for it is Bray Wyatt's name will definitely carry on as the people when people say like, oh, I used to go back and watch a lot of Bray Wyatt's promos about how he would talk and how he would act. Because I feel like even if you go back and watch a lot of his stuff, there's a lot to pull from and a lot to learn from.
But ultimately, we're at that hour mark. We're at the end of our retrospective. I want to thank you guys for watching. Obviously, this is not the normal style of video that we do with the podcast. We'll have the AEW New Japan, WWE New Japan.
The cards, the Forbidden Door cards.
WWE AEW, that's what it was. That we booked will be up probably later this week. Next week's podcast, I have an idea that I'll run by you off camera, but it'll be a good one. Mm-hmm. And yeah, thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, thank you for watching. Enjoy. Go watch some old Bray Wyatt matches today.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Is there one you would?
I mentioned it earlier. The Shield versus the Wyatt family at Elimination Chamber is one of my favorite matches.
Go back and watch Elimination Chamber. His first title win.
Yep.
The Elimination Chamber.
It's 2016. No, it's 2017.
2017. Yeah.
Great match. And hope to see you guys soon.
TRC out.